Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Get Sculpted podcast. Today, we're talking about something that is so important to your health and wellness, but it is so simple that so many women completely overlook it. Because we have said this many times on the podcast, you can be eating well, you can be lifting weights, but it's possible you're still not seeing the progress that you're working so hard for. And the reason might actually surprise you. One of the reasons your results might actually be stalled out is because of the movement outside of your workouts that you're just not getting. And this is the part that we really want you to understand. Even if you work out for an hour every single day, not that we recommend 7 days a week, but even if you did and you sit the other 23, your body still registers that as inactive. So that means you are in fact sedentary. And we've said this before, and I have had people come back to us saying, I'm sorry, what now? It is true. So we're telling you this to make you more aware because modern life has set us up for this, right? Our bodies were made to move.
Yes.
We got to walk. We got to carry things. We got to climb. We got to do all the things. But what are we doing most of the time?
Sitting.
We're sitting, right?
This is my Roman Empire. The whole people being like, yeah, sorry, I don't want to get into a rant before we can start, but it's the fact that they're like walking is like above and beyond. I'm like, do you know what your legs are designed to do?
That's right. That's
to
right.
go
Like
from point
millennia.
A to point B. Yeah. Like you sitting in a car and on your chair all day is
It's
going
not normal.
against the norm.
Exactly.
So like your 20-minute walk like once in a while is not negating that.
No, I love it. She wasn't going to rant, but she ranted. That's okay. It's a perfect segue because that's just it, right? Modern life. Like, what do we do now? We're sitting at desks. We're commuting. We're sitting in our cars. We're sitting on a train. What do we do to relax? We sit and we scroll on our phones. So all of these things, if you think about it, the bulk of your day is spent barely moving.
Mm-hmm.
And we are, as a society, more sedentary than ever. So today, this is what we're diving into. We're going to give you the background about why movement is important and what it does for your body. We're going to kind of demystify like the step goal and like what it actually means and why it's important for health and fat loss and energy. And also how you can hit those goals. Because what do we hear all the time? Like, oh, it's winter. I don't want to go outside. It's too cold. It's too dark. Well, guess what? That doesn't have to be your excuse anymore. So we're going to start with the science behind steps, because I think once you understand that and what it does for your body, it will actually change the way you see movement. So T, I would love for you to take us through that. Tell us about the science of knee.
Absolutely. So first of all, we just did a podcast.
That's right.
The previous one to this, all about metabolism. So we do talk a little bit more about like the metabolism big picture.
Mm-hmm.
But what we want to zero in on now is the NEAT portion of that. So NEAT means non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's all the energy you burn from just like not structured activity. Just walking around, using your hands to talk, like cleaning, taking this. I know, a hand talker. It's funny how the body does decrease your NEAT when you're in a deficit. We talked about that in the last episode, but subconsciously you're not going to want to get up and get that remote, like, oh, I won't change a channel or whatever. You know, like you're not going to fidget with your hands as much. So yes, this does add up is what I'm saying.
Does.
And the reason it matters is because it actually accounts for a good 20% of your daily calorie burn, when exercise can only account for maybe 5 to 10%. Okay. So it's significantly more of your energy burn comes from your movement. So, you know, like you said, Mare, just because you're hitting the workouts, we love that you're doing that.
Love it.
We're not saying not to. We're going to add to that, though. We're not going to leave it there because
That's right.
it's not enough, especially if you want to stay lean and stay healthy. It's about staying healthy. Like,
That's right.
it's about, it's everyone these days. I'm going to go on another rant about those stupid things you stand on that shake. Those shake pads.
I cannot believe that those are back. They had a moment about 15 years ago. And
On
they
the
had a
shopping
moment.
channel,
Yeah,
the
they had a
nighttime
moment back in the
infomercial.
50s and the 40s. And it's like, come on, we know this doesn't work.
They're trying to, honestly, I have not Googled and gone down the rabbit hole because I can see right away. I'm like, okay, they think it's going to increase your circulation or whatever. I'm like, you know what does that? Freaking walking. Walking. Are you walking? No, you're probably not. It's like the people not walking, not eating protein, not eating meals. I'm going to buy supplements. I'm going to get this vibration pad. You don't need any of that crap. So don't buy that crap. Just walk. Okay. So
And it's free.
it's free. And this is the thing that we want to talk to you about. Don't worry. I'm not just going to rant at you. We're going to share what you're going to do. If you're like, don't yell at me. Don't worry. We got some plans. So if you work a desk job, so honestly, we work a desk job.
Yes,
That's
we
the
do.
thing. That's the thing. I guess where everyone's like, you're a fitness coach. I'm like, I don't think you know what that means. I'm not actually out there doing fitness classes with people.
That's
like,
right.
you know, like when I was doing that, let me tell you, I was very active and I missed that. When I lived downtown, I had clients downtown and we like wouldn't use our car for weeks. It was awesome. But if that's not your lifestyle, it would be great if it is. That's okay. We want to acknowledge that like the lifestyle you have now by default, if you don't do anything, does not pertain to you moving more. And actually, research shows that the average adult sits for over 9 hours a day. And this is not good, not just for you not burning calories, but it's going to increase your risk of heart disease, having higher blood pressure, diabetes, and even certain cancers. So sitting is the new smoking, we've heard. And that's why we want you guys to take this seriously. This isn't like a cute little thing like, oh, I barely walk. It's serious. You need to you need to get yourself together, because what we found is we looked into some health stats, and a Canadian health measures study found that Canadians who walked 8 to 10,000 steps daily compared to those who took under 5,000 steps a day had lower risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. And actually, walking regularly reduces risk of type 2 diabetes by 30% and cardiovascular disease by 35%.
That's massive.
That is huge.
It's massive. And it's so accessible to everybody. And if you don't use it, you lose it. So let me tell you, like, a lot of people will say, my parents they're very frail. They can't get up and down off the ground. And I have a good friend who, she actually has a fitness coaching company for seniors. And we talk a lot about this. It's like when you're walking and resistance training, they're both important. And that's just your habit. You're going to stay healthier for so much longer. You don't need to be in the place where you're feeling old prematurely.
No. And it's quality of life too, right? Like, think about it. I always think about, like, people talk about retirement. I can't wait to get to retirement. It's like, well, what is that going to look like if you've done nothing to set yourself up for health and longevity? Like, your retirement literally is going to be spent inside because you can't move and you can't do anything.
You don't want to travel. Yeah. Period.
Right. You've invested money over decades to be able to retire, but how are you going to be able to enjoy it? What are you going to be able to do?
Yeah.
It's like you didn't make those deposits. You only made the money, the financial ones. You didn't make the health deposits to match.
If you don't have health, you don't have anything. Period. That's right. And I always interject this, but I don't think you'd know how good you can feel when your health is optimized. Like, it just feels amazing. You never want to go back. Yeah. So another thing I want to talk about, though, health-wise, is as amazing as walking is, this is another thing that is a little bit of my Roman Empire, is that it's not cardio. Okay. So cardio needs to engage your cardiovascular system. It needs to elevate your heart rate, right? And walking is amazing. But the thing that I always say is, like, walking is not enough on its own as like your one all, like, but I walk, but okay, great. That's one. But it's also not enough to truly challenge your heart. So we actually do want to get, I think it's 60 to 90 minutes is the recommendation in Canada, of vigorous, moderate to vigorous activity per week. And that means that you do want to be really challenging your heart. Yeah, so we want to actually talk about, like, what that looks like. So, like, what we rate that on is the rate of perceived exertion. This is how rate of perceived exertion is rated differently for resistance training and for cardio. So when we're talking about cardio, if we're at a 3 or 4 RPE, this is a light effort thing, like a casual walk, right? Like, we're walking and talking. That's great. Moderate would be considered a 5 or 6 RPE. So this is like a brisk walk, or like maybe like a light jog, maybe like you're doing yard work or probably shoveling snow, I would say. Like, you're slightly breathing, but you could still talk, but it's harder.
There's
if you're walking, there's probably some hills and it's not just hiking, all of that sort of, you're walking, maybe even walking on sand for some people.
Yeah, exactly. And then vigorous would be like a 7 or 8 RPE, and that's like really like when you're challenging yourself, like you're running, probably you're probably doing high impact, and high impact actually means both feet are off the ground. So this could be like, doing a cardio on a machine is a very simple way of gauging this. Like, you're doing the stair climber, you're doing the elliptical,
spin
whatever
class.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then that's another misconception, is I've actually had clients say, like, oh, my heart rate goes up so high, I'm actually worried. And I'm like, that's good. It's good to challenge your heart rate. Like, it's very good. Like, if your heart rate is never really being challenged, it's a muscle. It's never going to improve.
Yes, that's right.
What you will realize when you start tracking these stats, and a lot of the time, like, you can get a knockoff Fitbit on Amazon or whatever, or Apple Watch, all those things, or a Ring is fantastic, but it really does give you awareness as to, like, your patterns.
Yes.
And when you start getting a healthier heart, you're going to recover more quickly from doing, like, when your heart rate elevates, it's going to come down more easily. And also you're going to be able to do more intense activities while your heart works less hard.
That's right.
So I remember, like, sometimes if I haven't done, like, any cardio, I could just pop on and do a jog, and, like, bam, my heart rate's at like 160. And then near the end of my prep, I was scraping and trying my best. I was like, come on. And it was like 125. You could barely get it up there. Yeah. But I was like, it's good that my heart is so healthy, but I need to burn calories.
Actually, like, a great goal that I have set with some of my clients is to monitor what their recovery rate is after they do their cardio, because some of them, where their starting points are, it's like, it would take them like 5 or 10 minutes to recover. Like, when some clients are coming in being like, I get out of breath when I'm climbing the stairs, or like carrying the laundry basket up. Like, when you're thinking about like, that's where you're starting from, this is really important work to be leaning into, and how quickly you can recover from
that's a good
that
point.
type of work. It's a win. Like if that's where your starting point is, like recovering, taking 5 minutes to recover, and then now you can do it in like 30 seconds. Like that's huge
progress. Yeah.
It is huge. So it's all important is what we're telling you. Again, when you guys listen to our show, even an episode, think of it like a menu. Like you don't have to, if you're super overwhelmed, just take one thing, or a buffet rather. It's not like you have to order the whole menu. So if you're like, okay, I just want to start by walking, great. And then you're like, okay, great. Now I'm going to increase that intensity as part of my movement. So another thing that I want to mention there, because it's such a hot topic, is the weighted vest. Another thing that I will rant about, because people think these things are like so magic. And I'm like, listen to me right now. If you're like 160 pounds, let's say, and you're carrying 40 pounds, which is not easy to do, by the way, I get it. Like that's challenging, but like, that's not enough to challenge your bone density. Like you're not building your bone density with that. You need to resistance train.
Yes.
You need to get your weights up, girl. You need to be squatting maybe like 1.5 times your weight. Now you're not doing a little 40-pound thing.
Right.
You're doing like that's where you're going to get the bone density building. Okay.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people don't even know why they're doing it. They're like, I see it on Instagram and I hear it, and then they go on ChatGPT. They're like, this is the benefits it told me. Okay, so we can already establish it's not helping you that much with your bone density, because it's not that much resistance. It's not enough resistance. It's not helping you build muscle for sure. Like, put that away, because it's like a little tiny fraction of your body weight. Is it increasing your heart rate more so that you work harder? That I can actually get behind that, because that's true. It will. If it elevates your heart rate, it helps you get more cardio, right? Like I think that
depending on how heavy the vest is, if you're putting on like a 5-pound vest, that's probably not going to do it.
Oh God, no. But then you're monitoring, right?
If you're putting on a heavier vest, then yeah, absolutely, it can challenge
like
you.
Rucking is what it's called, right?
Like I have a 40-pound vest, and trust me, as like a 135-pound person, adding 40 pounds, I'm sweating when I'm walking. I'm in that vigorous area, because like on an RPE, because it is hard to walk hills with 40 extra pounds on you.
It is. That's the thing that I can get behind that for sure. So, if that's helping you, then great. And same thing with the walking in general, walking with a vest. If you're using it strategically for like, I want to elevate my heart rate, I want to challenge myself a little bit more, great. But if you're like, this is my catch-all, this is my resistance and my cardio, it's not that. It's really not. So that was the key takeaway there.
And you also don't need a weighted vest to do that. Like how many of you were students once? You all carried a backpack. Like,
well, those are heavy.
They're heavy. Like the backpack's gonna be super heavy. Like I remember mine being like 20, 30 pounds easily.
And when I wasn't fit, my back hurt. Like actually, now I'm like, no problem. So so your step goal isn't just something that's like, oh, cool. That's like a nice suggestion. Like we want you to think about how you're actually going to build your life around it. That's something we talked about in the last episode too. It's the number helps you, but it's about like how you're actually going to implement that in your day. So now we talked a little bit about the science. What I actually want to talk about is like, how are you going to get those steps in now? No matter what your days look like or how cold it is outside. So talk to us about this, Jord.
I love this. I talk about this all the time. It is always like rotating in my social media because we don't move enough. And so I think the thing we want you to take away from this episode is really to identify where walking is important now. We've given you all the reasons why.
You know the why.
Now we really want you to pick 1 or 2 things to start to implement. I love that where you said it's kind of like a buffet. Like take your pick. Start with one, add another as you make progress, because stacking those things over time is where you're going to feel like you're making those wins. So first and foremost, you need to know where your starting point is. If you have no idea, like grab an pedometer thing from
Can I show you?
Pedometer, you can get a little manual.
$99 on Amazon.
The dollar store has them for like $2.
I have my Aura ring, which I love, but actually I'm doing a little experiment right now just to see like
how accurate it is.
Well, just to kind of compare. But
okay, let me know if I've been not tracking, because I'm like, I want to be tracking all them steps.
Yeah, and I mean I love data. Like I do love seeing it. I'm not like obsessed with it because again I know the why and why this is important. But anyway, it's a great cheap alternative if you don't want to invest in like a an Aura ring or a Fitbit or something.
Yeah, very accessible.
Grab a freaking pedometer. It was $20 on Amazon.
Yeah, and if you have a dollar store, they're under $5 at the dollar store, and they're just as good as anything else you're going to buy. So set that baseline. Just see what 3, 4, 5 days looks like at your current baseline. And if you're somebody who's not at that 5K steps even yet, which is where like the threshold says that you're still considered sedentary if you're 5,000 steps and below.
Yeah.
You don't want to just go ahead and double that and hit 10K right away, because that's going to be really uncomfortable. It's going to feel really hard. But what we want to do is help you scale up by 1,000 to 2,000 steps per week or every other week, whatever your comfort level is.
Right.
But this is something you can scale up over time and really make it very doable in your life. So the number one thing, start there. The second step you're going to want to do is stack it into your day.
Right.
And I have some examples here, but I'd love to hear more from you girls too. But for anybody who's like dropping off their kids at school, like you can do an extra little loop when you're walking, like dropped off school. One of my favorites is pacing when you're on the phone call or leaving a voice note for somebody, or even scrolling social media. I know somebody who gives themselves like 20 minutes to scroll social media, but she's only allowed to scroll when she's walking.
I like
so
that.
she goes on her walking pad or wanders around the main floor of her home, and that's when she gets her scrolling time in.
I've done cardio during like a whole cardio session just for scrolling TikTok.
There you go. Like it is so easy. Like you're just whoop, checked out. You can park further away or use the stairs, which we have all heard of before.
Yeah.
Mini walks between meetings. Like if you're someone who's doing an office job in calls a lot, it is pretty often that those meetings will end 5 minutes early, start 5 minutes late. So that could give you a few minutes to like wander around. And I always loved when I was in the corporate space, taking the stairs, even if it's just one floor or two floors, like take those stairs, get that in there.
Always.
I also started before I left the corporate space doing walking meetings. So for anything where you don't really need to take notes, or maybe it's like a recurring meeting where it's like a status with like somebody that you work with, you can make those far more casual. And I've had clients implement them now as they're heading back into like mandatory in-office days, and they are loving them. Yeah. And then one other one I used to do was to get off the subway or the bus station one stop sooner, so that I would get a little bit of extra movement if I was particularly behind on my steps that day. But would you guys add any others to that? I'm sure we can make a huge list.
Yeah, I mean, my walking pad is my saving grace. I mean, well, you know, we've seen it whenever I'm in meetings. Now, I'm actually I'm pretty proficient at typing while I walk, so I can take most of my meetings, if I'm being honest on that. The other thing I started doing recently was when we go grocery shopping and we get like canned goods and all that, we have a cupboard in our kitchen that's pretty large, and we would put like our rice and our cans and all that in there. And I was like, I'm going to put them in the basement. So we have a shelf in the basement. I've put everything in there. So that way, anytime I have to go and get a can of corn or a thing of rice. Oh
yeah, that's a good tip.
I go downstairs. I mean, again, it's like 2 flights of stairs, but it adds up. So I've started making things like a little more, or I should say a little less accessible, which has actually freed up cupboard space, and it makes me have to go downstairs and get the stuff when I need it. So
I love that one.
Yeah.
I love it. These are so good. And I think the really important takeaway here is, we talked about this on Monday's momentum call. Whatever is working for you, put all your chips on that. Okay. Yeah. Because if something is not working and you're still not getting the steps in, stop trying to fix it. Put a square peg in our hole. Like we talked about this, Julie, one of our clients, she's always saying like she catches up on a lot of her steps in the evening because logistically it works with her. I love that. Yeah. I know myself. I'm not going to go for a walk when it's dark outside.
No, me either.
I'm just not going to, in the summer. Yeah, for sure. But like not in the winter.
No.
There's zero chance. So I know that like I need to front load my steps. I need to do it. It needs to, whatever is your sticking point. I always say you want to do earlier in the day, for sure, before noon. So if you find that like you have this goal of like, I'm going to do an after dinner walk and it's not happening, reevaluate that.
Yeah, exactly.
Do these other things, like get the walking pad. And also my other tidbit is like, it doesn't need to be, there's always value in little things. Like sometimes I think, oh, am I going to really get on the walking pad for like 10 minutes? Of course. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, there's
every minute matters.
Every minute matters. Or
absolutely.
Like offer to be the one to go to the store and get something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think these were all really good tips, Jordan.
And the one other tip I would add is sometimes that Monday to Friday is really hard for people. They are completely like tapped. And so I have even had clients where we work on a weekly step goal instead of a daily one, where at the end of the week, things kind of even out. And so on a Saturday or Sunday, they're like, that's the day I go for my hour or 2 hour hike, or that's the day that I do all of these things. And so the step goal might still be 6,000 or 7,000 steps on the Monday to Friday, but they kind of jack up to like 12 or 13,000 steps on the weekend, and it'll all even out. So there's just some options for you to kind of think about and maybe try one. And this has kind of become a mantra within Get Sculpted, is like the cold weather is not an excuse. And we live in Canada. We're not sure where we have like hundreds of countries listening at this point. So not everyone is dealing with cold weather, but you might also be dealing with really hot weather where it is super
rainy
humid
weather.
or
I'd
rainy
rather have
weather.
that.
Yeah, and there's, a weather restriction where it creates a really barrier for some people where they're like, that's not weather that I want to walk in. Well, in our community culture, this is a challenge, like a limiting belief that we like to challenge, is that the weather is not an excuse to stop you from getting your steps in. There's lots of ways to do it indoors, but if you've set a goal to get outside, we want to challenge you. Layer up, layer down, change the timing that you're going, like make it fun for yourself, because I've had clients that like for Christmas, they asked for fleece lined snow pants so that they could get outside, or a special hat that covered their ears so that the wind didn't blow in. There's indoor alternatives like mall walking, your treadmill, all of that kind of stuff. And then I think something we also just finished in our community is our hot girl cold walks winter challenge for walking. And it was awesome seeing how many of our ladies hit these like insane goals. One of our clients hit over 1 million steps in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's pretty incredible when you have accountability buddy, a challenge to hold yourself accountable. And so there's just like a few ways to, not let the weather impact your movement.
That's right.
And I heard this phrase that I love so much that I come back to. I can't remember exactly how it is, so I'm going to butcher it. But the point of it was, if you keep saying you hate winter and that's your mindset, you're going to have a hate for winter and winter. But in another scenario, if you stop focusing on that, you're still going to have just winter. Do you know what I mean? Winter is going to be there no matter what.
Right.
Yes. Okay. I just talked about this in therapy yesterday.
I love that.
I don't love winter. And my therapist was like, your framing of winter is like, you're the only one that has that. She's like, I grew up in a house where we loved winter, and like the more snow the better, because it meant we could go skiing and we could do this and we could do this, and it was fun. And she's like, your frame, you grew up with like winter bad, winter cold, winter depressing. And I was like, oh my God, not everyone hates winter.
It's true.
Like,
well, that's the thing. It's a mindset thing.
It's a reframe.
If you focus on that, what are you going to attract more of? Like, that's what I tell myself. It's like, I'm not trying to have toxic positivity, but it's like, and actually, this is a funny little trick I gave myself. Just this January, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, like outdoor winter activities, I'm embracing them. I mean, there's things I prefer to skating and snowboarding or whatever, not snowboarding, but snow activities. However, what I can get behind is like, this is a great time to catch up on like facials and manicures and dinners with friends and like shows, like when the lights are off, jammies are on early, so like it's cozy. I'm like, that's nice. Like, you appreciate, it's like you wouldn't appreciate the sunrise if the sun didn't. So
exactly,
freaking embrace it.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And the last couple here that we're going to go through is, T, you already covered this, but movement isn't cardio versus steps. We want your walking to move up so that you're getting that neat up overall. But if you love like a spin class or a, step class or whatever you're doing, that's like where you're getting your cardio for heart health. So we really want to differentiate those two. And long term, you do need both. And then the last piece here is the tech piece. Like, you really can't, we talked about pedometers and stuff like that, or your like Oura rings or your Apple Watches, whatever it is. If that's helpful for you, lean into it. And if it's not helpful for you, then you can use things like just tracking the time that you're walking and not worry so much about the actual number of steps, because there's easy conversions that you can make if you want to still get that. And then the last piece around accountability, I think our community is such a great place for people to share wins. We do Accountability Mondays, we do Win Wednesdays, we do our Flex Fridays, and this is just such an awesome space for people to hold themselves accountable and get that extra support. So if you don't have that, you can always join in on ours. Yeah.
And Bailey, I heard him in the background, and I was just thinking, walking your dog. Did you mention that?
Yeah. No, we didn't. Thanks, Bailey.
I think we did in the past episode when we were talking about
He's like,
steps.
hello, don't forget about me.
He's getting ready for his lunchtime walk. He's like, you got to take me out soon.
See, dogs do keep you accountable. We're getting a dog. I'm so excited. We're getting a golden retriever. Part of the reason I got that breed was because I'm like, we already like love having an active lifestyle, but it's even more incentive, and it gets the kids off screens because listen, no one's kid. My kids are not dying to go for a walk with me. They would do other stuff outside, but like, I don't know about you. My 9 and 6-year-old don't want to just go for a walk just to walk. So having a dog helps.
I love that. And I think what you're hearing here is like, you don't need it to be perfect. You don't need the perfect weather. You don't need the perfect environment or the perfect outfit or the perfect whatever. You just need to do it more and more intentionally throughout the day and consistently, because steps don't just burn calories. They also build up your confidence around and your energy around your overall living your fit and healthy, active lifestyle. So that kind of brings us to the real secret, Mare, because it's not just about hitting your step goal. It's about building an identity as someone who moves every day. And so I would love for you to kind of take us into this like third lane of movement as a lifestyle, not just a phase.
Yeah,
and
for
we
sure.
love this one.
We do. And I actually love that you use the word identity, because I think that, well, first of all, it's a word that we use a lot about making this part of your identity, because as soon as you do, it becomes your non-negotiable, because like, it is who you are. And I think that's what a lot of women miss. And we've talked about this before, where they see movement or steps as just a phase. So when you see it as part of your lifestyle, then it's something you implement all the time. And really, like when I look at the women in our community, because you talked about that layer of accountability builds it into their lifestyle and it becomes their identity. So now it's also like a culture of Get Sculpted, which is why we would love for you to join our community, because it almost makes it a no-brainer when it becomes part of your identity,
it's
right?
the norm.
That's right. And that's what actually changes your body when movement, both steps, but also resistance training, all of these things become part of who you are. And you also stop seeing it as an obligation, right? When you say it as part of your routine. So the other thing I think that, we've touched on this, but movement is medicine also. Like, I think that that's very underrated, what it actually does, not just for your body, but for your mood, right? And it improves your sleep. It improves digestion. I can't tell you how many times I've eaten a meal and then gone for a bit of a walk or gone on my walking pad, and I feel so much better.
It regulates blood sugar. I think we had mentioned 30%. It can help prevent lower blood sugar spikes following a meal. So that's a great thing to do. Yeah.
And so that's the thing. I think it's one of the best forms of self-care that exists. And George, you said this, it's free. You can do it anywhere. You can do it anytime, right? The other thing is reframing movement and walking as punishment, because for a lot of women, they think it's something you do simply to like burn off
calories,
food, right? Exactly. Or help with fat loss. And like, it does all these wonderful things, but like, it's like we said, it's the bare minimum you should be doing to feel better in your body.
Yeah. And I do want to add too, Mare, like as you were talking, a lot of my clients, like one of them recently went through a loss, and we set a step goal. It wasn't even like, hey, let's get you burning calories. It was like, let's get you outside, because you need sunlight and you need routine. And that's what's going to help you process your grief right now. So for her, it was less about the step goal. It was like mentally, like being outside, there's so much value in that. And of course the movement is going to help your mental health too. But I also heard this the other day, and I didn't verify it, but I can't remember where it was, but something like unplugged walks are so important, because you actually like take in the stimuli in your environment and process it differently than when you're, and I'm so guilty for this, because an unplugged walk to me sounds like,
I love
torture. It sounds like torture. I unplugged anything. I think my dopamine receptors are fried, but that sounds horrible. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So anyway, it's good for you.
No, I love that. And I want to add on that, because my therapist gave me a strategy years ago about that. So we talked about like the data that supports how important it is to actually go for walks in nature. Like, it doesn't have to be the everyday thing. And she talked about this strategy. So you're talking about unplugged walks. She said to use your five senses. So she was like, okay, like what's one thing you see, two things you smell? Like, so she was like, use your five senses, and just, because it gives you something to do. Because I get that for some people, unplugged walks or unplugged drives, things like that, they're like, well, what do I do? What do I do? We're so used to being stimulated in some way. So she's like, you're now replacing that external stimulus from like your phone or what you're listening to what's around you. And it's actually very, very cool. It was a very cool exercise that she had us do.
We should do that next time we're together.
We should.
I was
go on an
just
unplugged
thinking,
walk.
I love unplugged walks with people. Not by myself. It's more hard. I will say.
We should do this specific activity. We'll test
where
it
you
and
do
share.
your five senses.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And we can maybe do it at a Get Sculpted event, because we have some fun events coming the next few months. So that's the thing. Like, I think the women who have the best success with this are the women who make it part of their life. They anchor it to things that they're already doing, like we said. And, and the other thing I was thinking about was like, you can actually make it time with your family. I know you said like the boys don't necessarily want to come for a walk, but like maybe you can make it fun. Like, it could always be a walk to somewhere. Right, exactly. Or like a walk to the park or a walk to something.
Yes.
I think
they like scooting. That's another tip with kids. And chasing them, it definitely becomes cardio, because
you have to keep up.
Oh, I just have to say something really cute. Lucas said the other day he hates walking without a scooter to school, and it was snowy. And I was like, "Come on, Lucas, your legs are made for walking." And he's like, "No, Mom, they're made for scooting."
Well, scooting is still movement. I mean, it's still part of NEAT. So that's the
They
other
are
thing
they're
too,
getting
right?
their movement in. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Hunter's stand. He has an Apple Watch, and it was like you're standing for 10 hours a day. I'm like, how? This kid doesn't sit down. He has ADHD, but yeah.
Sweetheart.
Another thing for kids, though, that I used to do with Scar when she was way, way younger is like a little scavenger hunt while you walk. It's like,
Yes.
go
Yes,
find me
yes,
a
yes,
leaf,
yes.
go find me a rock, go find me a whatever. And it has to
Okay.
be like on or near the sidewalk and be like, okay, run back and show me. And then we'd like collect all of these little things on the walk and they wouldn't even
That is
realize that they're
so
walking.
I used to do that when I was
Aw.
teaching. We would do that all the time because, like, anytime we took the kids outside, especially because it's a bigger group, it was like, well, what do you do with them?
Yeah. Give
That
them
was-
a purpose.
That was scavenger hunts were huge, and it evolved into like, I mean, I would apply it to different subjects too. Like, I would integrate it into like geography and all kinds of things.
That's
Make
awesome.
it competitive. Oh yeah, another thing too for Hunter is
Look
like
at all these ideas.
he does walk a lot of steps, but I told because we have a thing that's really cool, by the way, where he has an Apple Watch that's connected to my account, so he just
Cool.
yeah, he doesn't need his own phone. He's only
Yeah,
9.
yeah.
But I told him if he has a certain number of steps, he can add up like he'll get V-Bucks. It's like
Ooh.
Yeah.
it's very modest. It's not like
Yeah.
oh, you get 50 V-Bucks every week, but like he has an incentive to hit his step goal. Yeah.
Rewards work.
That's right.
Yeah. I know. Reward yourself too if you're listening
It's
to this.
true. It's true. Make it fun, right? So
Yeah,
that's what we're saying.
Exactly.
Make it part of your identity. And
There you
whatever
go.
works for you works for you. But that's the other thing is that, like, you know, we talked about how we have to create awareness around this, because if you just say, yeah, I'm going to get my steps up, and it's not an intentional part of your day, I will
It's
tell
not
you
gonna
from
happen.
personal experience, it will
It
not
won't
happen.
happen.
There have been plenty of days where I have not been intentional, and I get to the end of my workday and I'm like, I've moved 1,000 steps maybe. And I shake my head and I'm like, I know better. So the easiest thing is anchor it to things you're doing. Like we already said, release yourself from that pressure to be perfect, find your baseline. And all you need to do is a bit more than you did yesterday.
Mhm.
So if there is anything we want you to walk away from this episode, literally, is that the more you move, the better you're going to feel. And when you feel better, you're going to want to move more. That's the beautiful circle that this creates. So stop waiting to feel more motivated and just start increasing your daily movement. Be intentional, because the motivation and momentum will follow. And the other thing is, remember that your fitness goals in general are not a fitness trend. It's got to be a foundation of who you are. Your workouts are going to build your strength, but your steps and your movement outside of those workouts are going to keep your body and mind thriving. Walking is easy, it is accessible, and it is so effective. Okay. So we want you to start today. That's what we really want. We want to leave you with a challenge. So for the next week, until you listen to our next episode, track your steps. Just see where you're at, establish this baseline. And then, like we said, just incrementally add a little bit more, even if it's 500 steps a day for the next week after that.
Extra walk.
Right. Keep going until you hit that, 8 to 10K mark. Also experiment with different things that might work for you, but we're not letting excuses get in the way anymore, because we've seen firsthand in our community how there's not one way to do this. There are so many ways. Layer in that accountability, because we were just talking and think about how many things just came up that we have never talked about before. So your body was made to move, and every step that you take is moving you in the direction of that woman, that 2.0 that you are becoming. So we want to thank you so much for spending this time with us today. If you got value, which we're sure you did, be sure to send us a message, share this on your socials. We love hearing from you. And maybe you have some really cool ways to get steps in that we haven't talked about or thought about. We would love to hear those, because we'll pass those on to our community. And we will chat with you in the next episode. Take care.